Do, 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 do.
Okay. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Mehcast Reacts, and tonight we're doing some Nostalgia Critic Spider-Man videos. Technically, we're doing...
Yeah.
No, we're not doing all of them. We're doing the video that is specifically called All the Spider-Man Movies Nostalgia Critic, which is not all the Spider-Man movies. He didn't do,
The MCU
the
films.
MCU trilogy or the Sony animated Spider-Man films in this, but... You know, we'll get to those eventually, because he did wind up doing reviews of those, but, hey. Oh, fuck it. Okay. Now, I have not watched these in their entirety, but I am not very happy with his review of Spider-Man 1. So we'll go ahead and get to that, I suppose. Ready to go?
Alrighty. Yep. Spider-Man.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider does. Spins a web any size.
You know, this could have been a lot. This could have been a lot more painful. This could have also been a lot more funny, Doug.
Yes.
Hyper, Benny? Thought I told you guys to get ready for Spider-Month.
Oh, we are.
What
we're
the
ready to
fuck
knock
is
the
going
hell
on
out of
here?
those Sam Raimi movies.
Awesome, I think. Wait, I thought you guys loved the Raimi movies. I mean, I've made fun of them for years, but you two have always defended them. That's one of the reasons I brought you in, to get a different point of view.
Oh, that's when we were children, darling. Little babies. Oh.
Yeah, we've grown a lot since then.
As you can tell by our grow-upping demeanor.
So now you see them as silly movies.
Of course, darling. The Raimi films are ridiculous.
I want to RKO this entire
That's
sequence.
so funny. I've been saying that for years, and everybody's been looking at me like I was crazy.
They are
Yeah, because
you are
awful.
crazy.
The worst kind of awful.
I may be
Well,
right.
Don't know if I
You
go that
may
far.
be
Now that we
crazy.
have real Spider-Man
But it just
movies.
might
As
be
well
a
as real
lunatic
comic book
you're
movies in
looking.
general.
Hang on. I gotta rewind. I gotta rewind, motherfucker.
Well, I don't know if I go that far.
Now that we have real Spider-Man.
Homecoming? No. Into the Spider-Verse? Yes. Far From Home? I had to hold myself hostage to watch that movie.
movies.
As well as real.
Okay, so here we have Logan. Yes. Guardians 2? No. Wonder Woman? You know what? Right up until that last act? Sure. Joker? Yes, but it's not good enough. Thor Ragnarok? Go fuck yourself. And Shazam is fine, but it's not... No. Kevin,
Yeah.
do you have any objections to that?
Not objections to what you said, but yeah.
Okay.
Comic book movies in general.
We've been enlightened.
And
with
Joker
age.
can
Now
hardly
we
be
see
called a
what the
comic
shit
book
that they
film.
really are.
Because it barely has anything to
I
do
would
with
call them
comic books.
shit.
What are you talking about? You've mocked them more than anyone, darling.
I know, but I guess I've always had a bit of a soft spot for them.
Gasp! Are you saying you actually like those baby movies?
Yes. I don't know. Compared
This
to the
reminds me
millions
of
of
a
other comic
skit
book movies we have now, they
from
are
the,
kind of unique.
Looks like he's one of those man-children that can't let
From
go
the
of his
anime
happy
police
memories.
department.
Hey, there is good money to be made
Videos
with
that
that.
Pro
I
ZD was
telling
in.
you guys these movies were silly.
You obviously haven't matured like we have.
Come, dear. Let us venture to where the adults are.
Could you have at least put something in those glasses?
Joke's on you, you're on the internet, a mental fountain of youth. Nobody grows up here.
Hey! That's a good one.
Yep.
Am I really gonna end up defending these movies?
Yes.
Yes.
There's an interesting backlash that's been going on with the Sam Raimi films as well as the Mark Webb films. In honor of Spider-Month, we're gonna look at both of these series, but for now, let's start with the Sam Raimi movies. In
Of
the past,
course.
they were mostly well received, gaining praise from critics and audiences, and even hailed as trailblazing groundbreakers. With the release of even bigger fan favorites, though, like the MCU Spider-Man
The
films,
MCU
and
Spider-Man
the
films are
Oscar-winning
awful.
Into the Spider-Verse.
Into the Spider-Verse
You're
is
looking back
great.
at these and seeing them as,
God, I miss the
well,
fashion of the
corny.
early 2000s.
It's a Norman Rockwell type of superhero, light, goofy,
Yeah.
and living in a romantic.
Yeah, almost like, you know, it's a comic book, not entirely representative of reality. I like that.
Yeah.
I want to go back to slightly Norman Rockwell-y superhero films. Even Iron Man can be considered a slightly Norman Rockwell-y thing. because it's not strictly science, it's science fiction. Like,
Yeah.
there's sci-fi shit in that film other than Iron
Besides
Man.
universe.
No playing in the streets.
Yes, Mr. Spider-Man.
Don't give
Yeah, that sounds about right. I'd appreciate that over him barely interacting with anybody in the John Watts films. I struggled to remember the director's name for a second.
me wrong, the first two Superman movies do the same thing, and they're hailed as some of the best comic book films ever made.
That's interesting because they're also not very good films and don't do things as well as this one does.
Careful, Alex. The internet will lynch you for that.
I have no neck. They can try.
But how do I put this? If Superman is the murder in
seen
Mississippi
your
of
neck.
Norman Rockwell's
Hmm?
I've seen your neck.
I've gotten vertebrae removed since then. Don't worry about it.
work, Spider-Man is the after the prom of Norman Rockwell's work.
No.
What the fuck? Where is this guy's chin?
No.
Uh,
The Supermans could
Anyway.
get really intense, more
that entire sequence was fucking dumb, Doug.
Yeah.
Do you remember what led into that?
Doug literally listed
him.
Superman reversing time as his number one dumbest Superman moment.
Yeah, well, let's talk about him giving up the powers, doing it all for the nookie, right? That
Yeah.
entire sequence exists because of dumb fuck bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
the fact that Richard Lester, 1, kept that in the movie, and 2, tried to take credit for it, is absurd to me.
Yeah.
I would have, given all of the reshoots they did in that film, I would have reshot that out of the fucking film.
really difficult and epically powerful. Kids could watch them, but they were mostly for adults. The Spider-Mans were occasionally emotional, but lean more
Occasionally emotional,
towards
okay?
non-threatening imagery and ideas.
Why, yeah, Green Goblin has him entirely at his mercy. You say that that's non-threatening imagery. Hey, if he'd have wanted to, he could have killed him at that point in time. But he didn't.
We've
'cause he
seen
was
a solid
trying-
JJ. We've seen a solid JJ sketch where Green Goblin is able to convince Peter or to go over to his side, but only due to the looming threat of turning him into a skeleton.
Yeah.
Ideas.
I mean, Peter got fired from his job after this. I don't really know what you're talking about, Doug.
Still have no idea why this movie is PG-13.
Probably because it was 2002 and they showed Peter Parker getting cut to shreds by the pumpkin flyers.
Bombs?
Pumpkin flyers, or that's what they're called. Oh, the guys getting vaporized by the pumpkin bombs. The various imagery relating to the Green Goblin and Norman transforming into the Green Goblin and after getting the serum and immediately killing Dr. Strom. Technically, he wasn't supposed to be dead. He was supposed to come back as Robot Master later on, but you get my point.
Sorry, every time I hear Robot Master, I'm like,
Was it this look?
Okay, so you don't rate a movie based on its lowest points, the scenes where nothing the fuck is going on of objectionable quality. You rate it based on the scenes of high intensity, Doug. Do you understand this? You're supposed to have a degree in film.
Your children's eyes! The Spider-Man comics could be goofy too, but they didn't
You show the fucking scenes of the suits struggling over Peter Parker as representative of the symbiote attempting to tempt him down a darker path and the red and blue suit tempting him back to heroics. Thinks, that's not silly, that's the fucking basis, that's the angel and the devil on his shoulders. The struggle for Peter Parker's soul.
shy away from dark choices and heavy themes.
Alex.
Treat it with as much seriousness as possible.
Yeah.
Alex. Oh, just the symbiote's like, reason number one. Look at what he's holding. It's a string thingy. We've been over this. It's a heart. Reason number two. Look what I can do. what? But I don't even. No, no, no. He's got a point there.
No, no,
Just
he's got a point
imagine,
there.
just imagine Peter looking at the symbiote Spider-Man and doing what was that workout he does?
God, it's been
Where
so
he's
long
pushing
since
up with his handstand, pushing up while doing a handstand.
um, I've always just called them extreme push-ups. They have a name, but
Are
Well,
you
he
in or are you out?
It's you who's out, Gobby. Out of your mind.
Do
I mean, like, Peter Parker's a
did
fucking geek. Do you want him to sound like he's fucking Tony Stark?
clearly.
Don't answer that, because we all know what happens when he does.
seem to be more kid-focused, don't they?
A comic book's primary demographic was children once upon a time, with teenagers and adults making up substantial but smaller periphery demographics.
Yes.
Like, Sam Raimi was making a film for his younger self, the little baby Sam Raimi who grew up reading Spider-Man comics.
But with all that said, this is a very unique universe I don't see much in comic book movies.
Yeah, almost like the extreme stylistic nature of it made it interesting to watch. You're never getting framing like this in a fucking
MCU movie.
MCU movie, not after Phase 1 anyways.
There's tons of films like Batman, there's tons of films like Iron Man, but
Okay, buddy. The tons of films like Batman are like other Tim Burton films, and no, there's not a single movie in the MCU like Iron Man, except Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
I know this because I've watched every MCU movie at least 6 times except for the Phase 4 and 5 ones, for most of which I've only watched like twice. Some of them I've only watched once. There's a few in Phase 4 I haven't watched at all, I gotta be perfectly honest.
Are they any of the ones that I've told you about out in our streams?
Those would be Shang-Chi, The Eternals, I'm blanking on the
it.
others. Or is that it?
Yeah,
And I
that's
haven't.
about it.
The only.
Yeah, because I know you and I have both seen Thor: Love and Thunder, Spider-Man: No Way
Ooh.
Home, Doctor Strange, Thor: Love and Thunder, and I know for a fact you have seen Black
Wakanda
Panther:
occasionally.
Wakanda for maybe.
Yeah. I've seen Black Panther 2. Both of us have seen Black Widow. Oh, you've watched more of the TV shows than I have. I have not watched.
I have watched the first season of WandaVision and Loki.
Yeah, you've seen WandaVision and Loki, which is more than I've seen, and I've seen some clips of some of the other ones, but... Oh no, I watched Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Falcon and the Winter Soldier was fucking dog shit.
As I would expect.
Moon Knight was okay, and then it's one of those shows where it's like, okay, now what? Oh yeah, I watched Secret Invasion. That was also dog shit. I'm struggling to remember the things that I've seen, because all of this was... Most of them were forgettable, and all of them were fucking horrible.
Anyway,
Except for Moon Knight was okay, I'll say.
Spider-Man? Nobody really talks like they talk here. Nobody really acts like how these characters act.
Yeah, I'd appreciate having more characters acting like this in the MCU, to be perfectly frank, because they have personalities, they have traits, a supporting cast that exists. Oh, be still my beating heart.
Nobody lives in such a friendly yet odd environment.
I mean, the friendly, odd, hostile at times. It sounds like New York to me. Because,
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like if Pleasantville had pumpkin bombs, right down to Tobey Maguire's in both of them.
I was about to wonder if you were going to... if you only made that reference because Tobey Maguire was in Pleasantville, but I suppose you did.
But the question remains, does that make these good films or bad films?
Good
Like
films.
You even have to ask, darling.
Go away.
Please stop. Also, what? There's a plastic cigarette with ash on the end. That's
You know, I think I can handle this without you adults, so piss off!
Come, darling. Let us snort our way out of here.
Hang on, I have to go over to Kick real
The
quick
best
and
way to
kick a
figure this
bot
out is to
out.
look at all the films in order, beginning with the original Spider-Man.
You're getting a
Booterman. Booterman.
In production hell for years, Spider-Man was handed from creator to creator trying to bring it to the big screen.
I
with
was
one of the
wondering if he
biggest
was
names
going to
being
mention
James
that.
Cameron. But
Yeah.
like most things he holds off on,
So James Cameron wanted to have Peter and MJ fucking on top of the George Washington Bridge. He wanted to have Arnold Schwarzenegger as Dr. Octopus, which kind of led to Dr. Octopus having the Arnold impressionist in the 90s Activision game. And it was
Wait,
supposed to
did
be
he
R-rated
actu-
with extreme swearing and violence.
What? That I don't imagine ever making any money.
I don't know what he was smoking at the time, but apparently
Maybe he was
he
on.
wrote enough of the script to get a script credit hit on the early drafts of Sam Raimi's film until David Coop completely, I believe he completely rewrote the script as the drafting went on to the point where him and the guys from Spider-Man 2 had done most of the work together, but none of the other writers had done 33%, which was enough for them to get credited for the script. But yeah, what were you gonna say, Kevin?
Oh, nothing.
Oh, sorry. I was rambling about film
he
facts.
just kind of gave it to someone else. After proving he could
Oh,
make
yeah.
continuous good movies with a strange, dark edge to them, Sam Raimi was finally given the reins for the project.
Yeah, he was the perfect choice for the role. Oh, because he's done special effects heavy, character focused movies in the past, namely Darkman, Evil Dead, those two. Those 4 films are pretty well regarded. Hit in that sense, and very good cinematography, very good
Being
framing.
a gigantic Spider-Man fan himself. Now keep
Yeah.
in mind,
I'd appreciate them having some more comic book fans as creative types behind this stuff, because I think lately the only people we get had you either get like a really good director who can put in the work and make himself, pull in material from stuff like The Long Halloween and things like that, like Nolan did, where he not only worked with writers who knew the comics, but also did some research and things like that. And guys who will either do the research, like Christopher Nolan or Kenneth Branagh, or who are already really good directors, or you get really good directors who happen to be comic book fans. You see, like, I don't want to call Jon Favreau a really good director because he's been on kind of a shit streak lately with, his Star Wars projects and The Lion King, but,
John!
yeah, allow me to real quick pull up the soundboard here.
John!
But yeah, he did the Iron Man films, and they were really good, especially for as shit as films were getting at the time. Like, get guys like them. Don't just get some fuck like they did with the Eternals, like they did with fucking Spider-Man for the MCU, like they did with fucking and I mean, hell, I'd almost say I'd almost say Mark Webb is almost some fuck, but he did really good with the material he was given, obviously. Like, they got the fucking Transformers guys to rewrite the script for Spider-Man 2, for TASM 2, and we'll get to that. But yeah, like anybody but the people they got for the Marvels, Captain Marvel, things like that.
comic book movies were mostly seen as box office poison at the time. So this was a bit
Mostly seen as box office poison at the time, even though when this film came out, they'd already had the success of Blade 2, and X-Men.
of a risk. However, there was a holy trinity in the late 90s and early 2000s that changed people's minds. Blade, X-Men, and this.
Okay,
This
I'm glad you brought that
clearly
up,
was
Doug.
the biggest hit out of all of them, and many claim got the ball rolling
Yeah.
for comic book movies to be the cinematic empire they are now. So this film is owed a lot of things.
Yep.
But, as we asked before,
Superhero films would not exist as they are. No, superhero films would not exist at all if not for this film, really, because a lot of the language of the storytelling, a lot of the language of the way the films come together
Never
was
forget
written
that
by Sam
before.
Raimi.
Never forget that before or that Trinity, we had we had a
Well,
man who realizes that this is why Superman quote unquote works alone, except for
yeah.
all the people that work under him.
Schumacher's Batman. Albert Pune's Captain America. Just looking over here,
The man who steals cars.
Dolph Lundgren's The Punisher, which isn't a bad film, but it's not great either. Oh yeah, the Reb Brown Captain America films, the made-for-TV Doctor Strange movie. I'm not talking into the microphone here because I'm having to actually physically look at my shelf behind me.
does it still hold up 18 years after it came out?
Absolutely.
And people who grew up with it still find appreciation in its bizarreness.
That's
Well,
not...
I imagine that might be harder for
Doug, you could have picked a more bizarre scene for this, but you didn't. Why? Could you... This is an issue that I see on EFAP all the time, because I am an avid viewer of that program, and whenever somebody is making a video essay about something like this, they either have imagery that they think attaches to the things that they're saying, or they have imagery that flat out contradicts the things that they're saying. And Doug has had both of these so far.
some than others. This is Spider.
Reused footage no jutsu?
After the opening credits to the Spider-Man video game, no, really.
Oh my fucking god, Doug, shut the fuck up. Criticize how it doesn't look as good as the ones from the other two films.
Tell me you couldn't see this.
Like they could have had... Spider-Man 3 is notoriously terrible. Video game, can you please stop?
We get a narration from Peter Parker, played with mild disinterest by Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, I mean, he's... we can...
Who am I? You sure you want to know? The story of my life is not for the faint of heart.
Let it be known the third line of this movie has faint of heart used unironically. If you're really
I feel personally attacked by this because I put that line into our Spider-Man storyline.
As did I.
Yeah.
For a different Spider-Man thing.
Yeah, Doug, perhaps I'm not the most unbiased judge of things here, but,
surprised by anything awkward that follows, you can't say they didn't warn you.
Faint of heart, that's a... Doug, you have a film degree. How do you not know that that's a common turn of phrase?
We see Parker chasing the school bus as it appears he's so geeky, even geeks won't let him sit next to them.
I mean, she's the geek, he's the fucking slob.
Don't even think about it.
God, it's like...
Yeah, it's kind of there to emphasize his outcast nature.
a POV cam from when I was in high school.
Okay, the self-deprecation is a nice touch.
I mean, let's look at my yearbook picture again.
You've used the magic mic shot several times before, Doug. You know, it was funnier the first time.
They go on a field trip with a pretty fucking weird teacher, even as these movies go.
I don't think he's a teacher. I think he's listed in the cast as a TA. Or a chaperone.
Okay, he's a chaperone.
Entire presentation. What is going on? Let's go talk about how we listen. The next person who talks will fail this course.
You do realize that he's attempting to not say things very loudly, because it'll disrupt the note-taking of the rest of the class.
Yeah.
As a teacher myself, I find that practical experience in this regard has informed me that this critique is fucking bullshit.
I kid you not.
Daniel, how many times have I told you students can't teach the class? Peter's best friend Harry, played by James
That
Franco, is dropped
entirely
off by his
depends
controlling
on
father, Norman
what kind of
Osborn,
class.
played by Willem Dafoe, playing Christopher Walken.
Somebody there? Who is this?
He's... So, hang on a second. I have to look up where Christopher Walken's from. Because Christopher Walken is from New York. Oh my god, it's almost like that New York accent and is fucking universal to the fucking role. Actually, hang on. Willem Dafoe. Appleton, Wisconsin. Okay, yeah. So yeah, it's an accent. He's not doing a fucking Walken impression.
I can't. Why? I started this. I'll make a few calls.
That's... Hey, if you wanted to do a Christopher Walken impression, it would have to sound a bit more like this, and he'd have to need more cowbell. I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
I might never see these two in the same room.
Probably because they're not the same person and look nothing alike.
Goblin Schmoblin, this is the real villain alter ego story. I just don't
No,
know who's
it's
supposed
not.
to be the villain and who's
Is that Perkins?
supposed to be the normal one.
Your parents must be very proud.
I think he wants to adopt you.
They're taking
Yeah, why did you play that clip there, Doug, if you weren't gonna comment on it at all?
to a lab where genetically designed super spiders, and yes, that is the scientific term.
Genetically designed super...
Okay, yeah, so you show the lecturer here, Doug. The lecturer is talking about things to the students. The students require this information to pass their fucking tests. And if the TA is going around screaming at the top of his lungs trying to maintain order, it's not going to help them.
super spiders.
We tried to name our species by what looks good on a B movie poster.
It's because this was supposed to be... If you read the Ultimate Comics, they were supposed to be recreating the Super Soldier Serum, and this was part of how they fucking did it. I'm sorry, Doug. Like, it's mentioned in the script and in deleted scenes. Look up a fucking thing for once.
As Peter continues to be picked on.
For the school paper?
Well, that helps me. My article's on logs. Peter tries hitting on Mary Jane, played by Kirsten Dunst, asking if he can take her picture.
I need one with a student in it.
Don't make me look ugly.
That's impossible.
Now, for a long time, I didn't really get what Mary Jane was about, as she was just sort of written as nice. I think Dunst had the same issue because she looks like she has no idea what to do with this character aside from being nice. When I read more Spider-Man comics, though, I found she's supposed to be more of an energized extrovert. Kind of like Rogue from X-Men, or Andrea Beaumont from Mask of the Phantasm, or, honestly, Kirsten Dunst from Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. So she can clearly
That's an
play this
interesting
role of someone
comparison.
that has a tough life, but puts that energy into being super active and positive. Here, we got the tough life part down, but every scene it looks like she's praying, nay, pleading for direction about what her character is supposed to be.
And now you're
and she's
showing
running
the
out of
energy
ways
and
of just
positivity.
being nice!
Doug, there are more representative scenes of this in these films. Why aren't you using those? Why are you using the ones where she's all upbeat and positive? If you're going to make criticisms of the film, use the material that supports your fucking narrative. Oh, hang on. There we go.
Harry, relax. You'll think I'm a stupid little girl with a crush. I'd like a cheeseburger. No, I guess not.
You know what? You could have just cut this from the fucking video, Doug. That wouldn't have hurt anybody. It would have helped you.
I'm in love with somebody else. Act.
Somebody, please. There's only so long I can smile like a sitcom wife who's dead inside.
Oh, God, Doug. You should have made your point better. Because I believe there's material in the film that could have supported you a little bit. And it was like, yeah, she doesn't have enough upbeat positivity, and there's too much zigzagging going on with the character. You could have made that point perfectly well, but you didn't.
While taking her picture, Peter gets bitten by an escaped spider.
Excuse me?
Subtle.
I mean, it's there to communicate imagery to the audience. If you don't, like, it's a fucking expo about the cool shit that they're fucking doing with the spiders. I don't...
Yeah.
Do you want them to not have anything? Do you want to have
Clearly.
the audience not know shit? Because, like, I will take shit like this over characters fucking dumping exposition to the audience. Like, show me a piece of imagery over a line of dialogue any day.
Meanwhile, at Oscorp, Norman is showing the military his new glider technology.
Yes, this works pretty well in context, given it's, you know, post 9/11. Granted, the movie was made pre 9/11, contemporary to 9/11 for some parts, but you know, it works, and it also works in terms of, like, they're trying to recreate the super soldier serum, and they're, you know, right on the cutting edge of various technologies. Iron Man was supposed to come out in 2005, and this was kind of supposed to be, you know, pseudo-response to the Iron Man tech. There's all kinds of things going on behind the scenes here, and even without all of that, it still works in context.
Complete with Krang's body.
Doesn't look the same. Moving on.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Kevin, are you seeing the same things I'm seeing? Because Doug is clearly not seeing what I'm seeing.
But it's Oscorp's other experiments that pique the military's interest.
Human performance enhancers.
We tried vapor inhalation with rodent subjects.
What were the side effects?
Violence, aggression, and insanity.
Okay, screw the rest of the movie. I want to see what an insane mouse looks like.
I mean, like, it's probably very easy to say that it's not.
Just imagine Splinter.
Great.
Or just imagine Splinter
Imagine
if
Master
he was high on
Splinter.
cocaine.
On all of the cocaine.
Does it do cartwheels? Does it eat its own hand?
Probably. I mean, it probably doesn't do things that are exactly in line with typical behavior, or, you know, for a rodent or for a sane mammal.
Why watch these goofballs when we could be seeing this the whole time?
You are the syphilis to everything I've worked so hard for, you miserable.
You're getting your
poisonous
mileage
sack
out of that
disease.
animation, aren't you,
Shut
Doug?
it, bitch.
Yes.
The military tells Oscorp if
That's
they
supposed
can't
to be an
produce
ad.
successful human trials or non-crazy rats,
I think
they're going to
so.
give funding to another company.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty good motivation.
Oh, and in my writing for this, it's basically I went from how the Raimi Man ended up to pointing out that the glider tech that Osborn would be promoting is based loosely off of Toombs' his vulture or wing, or his
And-
wingsuit.
And if Iron Man had come out around the time it was originally supposed to, and it would have starred Tom Cruise, by the way, you could have easily said that this was, you know, Iron Man and intending to be, you know, something of a little bit of a prequel. Only you could have easily said that, well, you know, they couldn't get the Iron Man suit flying like Tony did, so they put the tech into a glider, and they put the armor on the body. Boom.
Home to his Aunt May and Uncle Ben, feeling the effects of the spider bite.
You won't have a bite?
No thanks. Had a bite.
What's that all about?
Maybe our wallpaper's making him sick again. Why did we go at VeggieTales' funeral?
It's old. It's an old house. They're old people, Doug. Like, that shit was... The shit was in chic back in the day. Hey, I've seen pictures of the fucking 70s and early 80s for this stuff. It looked weird.
Peter begins to transform.
Oh yeah, by the way, this was the first scene they shot for the film.
As that seems to
Or
be
it might have been one of the
with
first
Norman using
scenes.
himself as the human trial.
Yes, this is called good filmmaking, where we have the hero and villain paralleled within the work, so that interesting events take place around the same time. We don't have giant gaps in the film.
We'll have lost the contractor quest, and Oscorp will be dead.
Get me the promochloroparazine.
We will perfect the ultimate mouthwash.
That's actually not a bad gag. You could have timed it a little bit better, though.
Dick.
You should have played a clip from Thor.
He's exposed to all his farts from the lighthouse, causing him to go insane.
That's actually not a bad gag, but, you know.
Killing his partner. Meanwhile, Peter...
I mean, Robot Master wasn't supposed to be entirely dead. He was supposed to be revived later on, but, you know, they never made a Spider-Man 4.
Peter, through spider science, seems to wake up cool.
I mean, he wakes up... It's not that he wakes up cool as much as it is that he wakes up, you know, going from skinny to having put on like 50 pounds of muscle overnight.
On top of that, his skin looks noticeably less pale.
Right at his high school crush.
Yep.
I think those hands were hairy and wet long before that spider ever bit him.
I don't want anybody else. Oh, when I think about you, I touch myself. Oh.
Hey, Michelangelo, don't forget we're painting the kitchen right after school. Got it?
Don't start without me.
And don't start up with me.
I don't have a prayer to survive this film, do I?
Doug, why didn't you make a Ninja Turtles joke?
No, dear. At school, Peter discovered...
There were like 3 jokes you could have made in the space of that scene, and you didn't make any of them. You made something stupid.
He has amazing abilities, and Mary Jane discovers she can't even have lunch without having to be rescued.
I mean, it's a school cafeteria. It's essentially chaos incarnate.
Now, apparently this wasn't CGI, and it...
Apparently, no, we know that it wasn't CGI. They did like 300 takes.
Took 156 takes.
Oh yeah, it was
to
156.
finally get this
I
right.
doubled it.
But I don't know. If that were true, I think the reaction would be less this.
I mean, it's called acting.
Wow.
And more this.
It's called acting, Doug. You should be aware of this. Oh my fucking god. Kill me now.
Pure luck! I was not in control of that situation at all!
He continues to go through spider puberty as he can't talk to girls, white goo spews out of him, and things get messy without having any control.
That's actually pretty good, but why did you cut immediately to the fight scene, Doug?
Kids, if you're gonna have children, they're the best kind to have.
Peter.
If you're gonna cut to any clip of Bob Saget on AFV, why that one?
Leaves school and discovers even more abilities on the rooftops. To those wondering if these hideous effects look good back then, Lord of the Rings The Two Towers came out the exact same year.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings The Two Towers had effects that were on par with this. I know, I've watched them recently. I love the Lord of the Rings films.
Yep.
But they were made 20 years ago. And I'm not saying that the effects have all aged poorly, but there are some effects in there that look like this. Gollum in the first one looks worse than this.
Effects were awful! But don't worry, as the film goes on, they get... These effects were awful!
I'm Doug, I'm gonna strangle you like I'm Homer Simpson and you're Bart.
Up and away, web!
Peter tries summoning his web again, but can't seem to recreate it.
Fly! Shazam! Go, web, go!
Maybe if I think of banging Mary Jane... There we go! I like where he
Okay.
lands on the ad, similar to how a bug would land on a windshield, but the fun stops when he
See, that's a good observation. A lot of people don't pick up on that.
realizes he forgot to get home in time to paint the kitchen.
Yeah, you didn't make a fucking Ninja Turtles reference earlier. Can you make one now, please?
Uncle Ben's drunk again. Oh.
That was very clearly Mary Jane's father.
It looks like Mary Jane's father is yelling at her, which might be why this awkward
No Ninja Turtles reference.
romantic
I
scene
am
comes
disappointed.
across like two 6-year-olds acting in a school play.
Doug, have you ever been in a school play? I have. I've been in school plays with people who are allegedly adults.
You can just see what's coming.
And what for me?
You're gonna line
Trust
up
me, this is
Broadway.
much better.
You're taller than you look.
I hunch.
Don't.
Honey, what are you doing?
I'm writing the Spider-Man movie.
Okay, so Peter Parker is a somewhat repressed character, and Spider-Man is how he kind of lets go, so to speak. He has the mask on, and he says and does things that he wouldn't do otherwise with the mask on. So, naturally, he's going to sound a little bit repressed as Peter Parker.
Well, stop hunching over. You're gonna ruin your posture.
Just let me work. Great, I wrote that into the script.
Has the concept of protest ever come into their minds? I would at least ask, hey Doug, do you want to rewrite that so we can have a funny sketch? No?
Yes,
Okay.
Nobody's gonna listen to the romance in Spider-Man. But whatever you want, as long as there's nice music.
I guess that's true.
Doug, you're allegedly a filmmaker. Do you understand the order that shit happens in? You brought up the fact that they're a fucking...
I'm gonna go back to helping George Lucas write the Star Wars prequels.
How many times have I told you not to track sand in the house? It's coarse, rough, and it gets everywhere.
This
Peter decides to look for
gag
ways
is
to get
terrible.
money to buy a car to impress Mary Jane.
Yeah.
He notices an ad for amateur wrestlers because the paper's printing Craigslist now.
The newspaper was how you found out just about everything in 2002. In 2001. In 2000. They're not as irrelevant as they were back then, bro.
And he asks Uncle Ben if he can drop him off, saying he's gonna study at the library. Now we all know this scene. Uncle Ben says with great power.
Oh my god. Oh my god. That is not fucking what happened in the movie. Oh dear lord. He explicitly says, I'll catch the train. He doesn't want Uncle Ben to go with him. But
yeah,
it's part of the fucking
Yada yada yada. Peter blows him off and he's gonna regret it.
You yada yada, with great power comes great responsibility. I hope you're satisfied.
But honestly, I would have liked a little more friction between them as Peter kinda bites his head off out of nowhere.
Oh, that's kind of how it's supposed to. That's kind of part of it. He's been. People say this all the time, but the shit happened in the movie, man. Like him shirking his chores, getting into a fight at school. Well, all of that happened across the film.
It's not like there was a falling out between them earlier on.
No, he's just kind of noticing that his behavior has changed dramatically in the last few days.
Kind of acts mean for the sake of acting mean.
I'll figure it out. Stop lecturing me, please.
I know.
He's not snapping his... He feels like he's being given third degree over something. And that he didn't... frankly, part of it wasn't his fault. In fact, none of this is his fault. He's just trying to make the best of a bad situation.
I'm not your father.
Then stop pretending to be.
Or at least tell me where my father is.
Never.
Died in a fucking plane crash in a scene they cut from the movie.
He knows what he did even if I forgot.
God damn you, Uncle Ben.
He goes to the wrestling ring.
Like, literally, hey, there's a mention of them being killed by the Red Skull that was cut from the film because they couldn't fucking do that. There's too much shit going on in the movie already.
I am rich.
In this universe, now I know this isn't reality.
I am
Of
rich.
course it's not fucking reality. Hey, this is a Spider-Man in it.
As he applies to
Yeah.
Hey, I thought Octavius wasn't in this.
What?
What
is the
the
joke here?
fuck is the joke here?
I'm hauled to the ramp. May God be with you.
Don't forget to try my pie. It's shit.
Pie? What movie are you referencing, Doug? I don't know what this is about.
Please.
You
Hi,
cut
Bruce
out a
Campbell.
lot of stuff here. You could have made plenty of
The
jokes.
announcer sends Peter into the ring to fight a wrestler named Bonesaw. And I'm not gonna lie, seeing Randy Savage, Bruce Campbell, and Octavia Spencer's second
Oh, Octavia
Octavia
Spencer. That's why you made the stupid fucking joke. Did she make pie in a movie?
Part in a wrestling ring
I think so.
kinda makes me think there's a god. Random.
Okay, at least you're praising
Some
the
people
right
are-
Like
things.
that has to be planned.
Some people are convinced that Macho Man and wasn't even acting. They just happened to be filming around him doing some wrestling.
You know what? I could believe that.
Hey, it's how the internet reacted when they heard Maguire was cast in the role.
No, I've never heard anybody say that.
I'd have to go back to the IMDb message boards of the day, but I have a feeling that that wasn't fucking true.
Don't worry, a treasure trove of memes shall be thine reward. Actually, this is the most attention I've gotten from women. Thank you.
Yeah, legit. Also, this is part of the reason why the film is rated PG-13.
Going nowhere.
By the
I
way,
got
did
you
you
for
know
3
that Monday Night
minutes.
Raw at the time was rated TV-14?
Yep.
Fun fact.
I got you for 3 minutes.
3 minutes.
Can I bring up it's been over 9 years since he passed and I still miss the shit out of this guy? Snap into a Spider-Man!
That's a good one.
Really great action sequence. Probably
Yeah.
my favorite in the movie, which is a weird problem, but we'll get to
Alex.
that. Peter doesn't get it.
Alex.
Your favorite in the movie, okay.
No, they cut out one of the best. They cut out the iconic line. That's a cute outfit. Did your husband give it to you? You're on the wrong side of history, Spider-Man.
That's cute talk coming from a fucking...
His money because he defeated him too early.
I need that money.
I missed the part where that's
Oh, hang on. Let me see if I can pick out every nude picture in the background. Or nearly nude. Are there any nude pictures here? No, it's just mostly...
my problem.
Ooh, another possible reason this was PG-13. Avert your eyes! It's as much skin as the Little Mermaid shows! The manager gets mugged, though, running
Very
past
interesting.
Pete, who gets out of his way.
Thanks.
What the hell's the matter with you? You let him go.
Well, as a security guard, we always advise kids to stop armed men. Idiot.
You could have taken that guy apart.
I missed the part.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you miss the part where he fucking beat the world champion while being a third his fucking size?
Where that's my problem.
Peter discovers, though, that Uncle Ben's car has been stolen and he was shot in the process.
Uncle Ben?
Oh my god, you've been shot. I missed the part where that's my problem.
Doug, that was a good joke.
Finish painting the kitchen.
That's another one.
Spider rage.
That's another one. That's amazing.
Somebody tell me again I wasn't listening. With great power comes great vengeance. Lots of vengeance. Good advice, Uncle Ben.
That's another good one. Oh my god.
So the effects
You're on
here are
fire.
pretty hit and miss, with sometimes them looking pretty smooth and other times looking like the 90s cartoon with 5 pairs of sunglasses on.
I mean, it's the first movie of its kind. What do you want?
The funny thing is, a lot of this sequence is hard to see, but the part you're supposed to not see, the carjacker's face, is clearly shown in a number of different shots.
Yeah, but he is wearing a fucking hat.
Oh my god, it's you! I only had 12 opportunities to notice that!
Yeah, it was more for our sake than his. He couldn't really have seen that.
Thank God for that flashback. Who has time to remember minutes ago?
Doug. It's called filmmaking.
You know what I love about heroes that don't kill? Bad guys always conveniently trip to their deaths around them.
I mean, Spider-Man has killed people before, but, you know.
What's that no-kill rule, says Spider-Man. That's Spider-Man's balloon now, you little bitch.
If he'd tried to save Spike here, he would have fucking died like Gwen Stacy.
I had a partner, by the way, and not important.
I mean, Spectacular.
Hey, it's a good one! It's another good joke!
I mean, Spectacular, or basically, he made that thing a, you saw the Spectacular version.
Yeah, I've seen the symbiote episode.
Episodes.
Well, episodes, but I'm talking about that particular symbiote episode, yeah.
Can you believe about Uncle Ben? I know, Aunt May, he's dead. No, I meant we're out of Uncle Ben rice. Where's my husband?
There's a good joke in there somewhere, but the delivery was fucked up.
Meanwhile, nearby base is testing their vibrator grasshopper when Norman...
I wonder if this was designed by the guys who did the Zat gun from Stargate and the penis pods from Man of Steel.
crashes the party.
Perhaps.
That seems how a general would react. No duck and cover or locate.
I mean, something just got blown up and a fucking green goblin is flying at them, shooting a fiery death. What do you want?
Any weapons, just
tell my wife I died, not screaming like my wife.
Because, like, you can say, oh, a general should have reacted better in that situation, and that's kind of dramatically unusual for a non-war zone, you know?
Cut to everybody graduating as Norman seems to be happier for Peter than he is for his own son.
Yeah, that's kind of a part of their arc together.
I know this has been a difficult time for you.
Excuse me, I have a tumor to fill with this pent-up aggression.
That's another good
If you ever
one.
need anything, just give me a call. You're like a brother to Harry. That makes you family.
You're like a brother I wish my son had, minus my son. Spontaneously cut to Peter crying. Trust me, you'll get used to that.
Too.
As he admits, he was...
He's wishing Uncle Ben was there at his graduation. It's kind of a big deal.
thinking about Uncle Ben.
It's kind of something that Peter in the MCU does all of a total of like twice. Hey, no, you know, three times. There's two in No Way Home, and then there's once in Civil War.
Get used to that too.
You were meant for great things. You won't disappoint him.
Unless you give a really weak entrance by awkwardly walking by papers, barely showing your mask when you had an epic World Trade Center intro from the teaser ready to go. Yep.
That's fair.
Batman shows his wings, Superman flies.
This scene is the most underwhelming entrance for any fucking character ever. They'd already done something like this for the Superman TV show. Oh, the only thing that was different here was they had a higher budget and a bigger set.
Spider-Man judges you like you ate his McGriddle.
I mean, do you want to remind people about the Twin Towers in 2002? It wasn't even a year after the event happened, and that this movie came out.
Yeah, the scene from the teaser was clearly meant to start this montage off, but it was cut due to 9/11. They have a second of it in there, but it's played so
Which is why you'll see that later.
fast without the original build-up that if you blink, you miss it. It's super weak.
It's weird, but it doesn't make the movie worse. It's perfectly fine, I'd say.
Allowing us to focus on how kind of weird a lot of these New Yorkers are.
I mean, New York is
by
weird.
New Yorker standards.
He stinks, and I don't like him. Some kind of freaky Louis something. Wackadoo.
Have you ever been to New York, Doug? Because I've seen many, many videos of Louis Rossman
He's been
walking
in Connecticut
and
before, more than
driving
once.
through New York and stuff like that. And, you know, I kind of feel like he captured the essence. Huh?
Alex, keep in mind, he's been to Connecticut twice.
So not enough to get a sense of New York.
Using the thirst bucket
No.
to the stoop to get the pie.
I've met him.
What, were Kim Possible and Ron Stoppable robbing a place?
Dear God, that makeup job.
Guy with 8 hands. Sounds hot.
I am 100% digging this Xena reboot. The blonde looks great.
He has
That's
those
actually
tights and
not
that
bad.
tight little
Whoa, watch it. This is a PG-13. You can't say backside.
Excuse me, darling, but it seems like you find this movie rather ridiculous.
Well, yeah, I never said it
The
wasn't.
fucking door!
New Yorkers are a little bit ridiculous. Human beings are a little bit ridiculous. I prefer to have some exaggerated ridiculousness.
But I am still invested enough.
Oh yeah, that's a quote for the movie. Spider-Man, I was invested enough.
You know, you're making my job of praising a movie I said was overpraised very difficult.
Well, that's what happens when you're a grown-up.
I will prove to you there is something beneficial here for adults.
You do.
Shut the door, lock it, and duct tape the fucking thing, then nail it shut so these two can't get in.
While we continue being adults.
Come, darling, let's use our
Wearing
free time discussing how
the
to
sunglasses I got from the summer reading program when I was 10.
People need to die younger.
Only the good die. Oh, hey, he got rid of that weird swoopy thingy.
Hey, you can see us at Midwest Gaming.
Don't care, don't care.
Is Jake.
Old con information anyways.
So the one over-the-top element everyone can seem to get behind in these movies is J.K.
Everybody
Simmons
loves
as
him.
J.
We
Jonas
wanted him
Jameson.
back in
He's the
TASM 2,
fast-talking
and we didn't
head
get
of
him.
the Daily Bugle, and despite
And we got him in the
having-
MCU, but he suddenly
should have been there.
transformed into Alex Jones.
He should have been there from the start.
No reason
In fact, he should have been an Iron Man, and as one of the pundits talking about Tony.
to hate Spider-Man. He does
Fuck you, Sony, for not making that happen.
so well. I don't think anybody cares.
Tomorrow morning, Spider-Man, page 1 with a decent picture this time. Move Conway to page 7.
I've seen his audition video, by the way. It's much more restrained. More like you'd see in a typical film these days. And, you know, I really appreciate him going kind of exaggerated with it. Because it gives him that effervescent personality that makes him stand out. And we don't have enough of that these days.
I make it page 8 and give him 10% off. I make it 5%.
That can't be done.
Get out of here.
How's this for a story? Kids today don't even know what newspapers are.
You know what, Doug? I appreciate that.
Peter bumps into Mary Jane and discovers she's dating Harry. But Harry hasn't brought this up to Peter despite the
Yeah, it's something I don't particularly care about. I had that TV when I was a kid.
them living
Yeah.
together.
Hey, Pete,
I brought that up in our commentary.
Dad, maybe you can help him out.
Oh!
No, I appreciate it.
Peter discovers he could get a job taking pictures of Spider-Man, so he sets up cameras, hoping a crime will conveniently happen in front of them.
I mean, no, he sets up...
Is
Doug,
frequent in New York.
Crime is frequent in New York. It's kind of irresponsible. So what happens is, and you know this considering you've seen the other films, he sets up the camera where he sees a crime happening, and then he stops the crime to get pictures of Spider-Man. Excuse me.
So, you're Spider-Man.
I mean, I wouldn't come to that conclusion based on that. I'd just say that he gets really fucking
No,
lucky. Because
no,
those are the
Alex,
best selfies
Alex.
I've ever fucking seen.
No, Alex. Here's the thing.
Huh?
There are some iterations where Jonah does know that Peter's Spider-Man, but the only reason why he gives Spider-Man a hard time is because he wants Spider-Man to face adversity. Because if there's no adversity, then what's the fucking point?
True, and frankly, hey, like, there's a panel from one of the Spider-Man comics. No, it's a page from one of the Spider-Man comics. I think it's where him and Robbie are talking about how, how the hell this new kid would get this shit, and Jonah glances down at a headline and is like, local man and shot in home invasion. And he was like, I don't know, and I'm not sure I care. This kid needs a little bit of help, you know?
Yeah, and on top of that, it's not like Jameson's gonna out Peter anyway.
Jameson's not a complete and total bastard, despite what some people would have you believe. He's actually...
Including the MCU.
This is why we have other things in mind.
Peter takes the check to Betty, played by Elizabeth Banks, who welcomes him to the Daily Bugle.
Welcome to the
Hi, Rita Repulsa.
Daily Bugle.
I'm glad you're in this and not directing a shitty Charlie's Angels remake.
Thank you.
My wig has a good feeling about you, but it's also advising me to direct Charlie's Angels. Norman seems to be top of the world, sending the business to new heights. So of course he's fired.
You're out, Norman.
Norman tries getting revenge at a Raise Awareness for Better Balloon Effects
am
festival,
I?
starring 2002's most 2002 performer, Macy Gray.
Why didn't you wear the black dress? I wanted to impress my father. He loves black.
Well, maybe he'll be impressed no matter what.
Twitter's gonna freak if they see you wearing that.
That's a good one.
In 3, 2.
Oh, hi, Mr. Fargus.
Norman finally reveals himself to the world as the Green Goblin, and It's just as dumb.
I mean, it's not so much that he's revealing himself to the Green Goblin as much as it is that he's taking out the people who undermined him in the company and sold him out, kinda.
I'm looking as you remember it.
Hello, my dear.
Now, I'm not going to pretend this is an easy character to bring into a three-dimensional world, but look at these other concepts.
Let's see here. This is basically the same as the one we got, except the mask opens up and it would have been completely impractical for the effects they had at the time. This would not have worked and would have required a massive upgrade in budget. This one would have been fucking lame. It looks like the 2004 Doctor Doom. These are just unworkable, this H.R. Geiger shit here. You can't make that work in live action without way too many prosthetics.
When you see what we could have gotten, it hits you even more how...
Doug, you're a filmmaker. You should know what compromises have to be made sometimes. This stuff is impractical. We already went over this in the last video. Continue.
Pez dispensary he looks.
Okay. You know, I'll take that over whatever the fuck is going on with some of these characters in the MCU. Or the recent Sony Spider-Man films. Or, trying to think. Oh yeah, the shitty costumes they have in the MCU in general these days, actually. Hey, they don't...
Yeah.
Like, you can get on Batman and Robin and Batman Forever for being incredibly toyetic. At least they made good fucking toys out of those.
Things don't get much better when Spider-Man arrives. I mean, they do, just not in the way I think the movie intends.
It's exactly the way the movie intends. It was directed by Sam Raimi, Doug. He understands that his films are somewhat spoofish at times.
This action sequence, after not having watched it for years, is one of the craziest goddamn things I've ever seen.
I mean, yeah, it's two superpowered creatures fighting in a Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade.
Just look at this as an adult, with the weird imagery, shitty effects, and over-the-top acting, and tell me...
The Goblin is fucking psychotic. I don't know what to tell you about that. There's a reason him and Osborn are sometimes referred to as different characters.
This isn't a drunken Power Ranger battle.
Considering I've seen shitty fan-made and indie Power Rangers knockoffs, no, this is much better than that. In fact, it's much better than some of the shit that we see in Power Rangers, especially during the Neo Saban era.
Everything about it is totally insane. Look at this kid. Did he get high before coming there?
Kids are fucking stupid. I don't know what to tell you about it. And having taught children, it has since opened my eyes to... I had a lot of faith in children to be more intelligent than they are, because the kids I knew when I was a kid were more intelligent than some of the kids that I've run into as a teacher, but you know, kids are fucking dumb.
What kind of expression is that?
I've seen kids do shit like this where he's like, no, don't do that. I was like, what? You're gonna fucking hurt yourself, Jesus Christ.
His mom just grab him, he's right.
I mean, there is, that's assuming that's his mom, because I don't remember off the top of my head. Two, there was a barricade between the two of them. He would have been able to get through. You know, those are typically weighed down, so she wouldn't really be able to...
There? Is that balloon moving backwards? The fuck? Why does...
No, it's knocking over the... Would have known this if you'd redrafted the video, Doug. It's knocking over something. The video knocked something over.
This girl...
The balloon knocked something over. Jesus Christ, not the video. The video is knocking something over. It's called My Patience.
Acts like she's in a Mentos commercial.
Spider-Man!
The Fresh Maker.
This isn't funny.
Impressive! What, talking without your lips moving?
I mean, you wouldn't have been able to see that. The only reason we can see that now is because we're watching on an HDR copy.
Yep.
That fucker's dead. Jesus, that looks awful.
I mean, it doesn't... Doug, we've seen other films from this era. We've seen...
By the way, you want to know what this scene...
like.
By the way, Alex, you want to know what this scene would look like if this were directed by Brad Bird?
Sure!
Okay, so imagine, if you will, both Green Goblin and Spider-Man, and shot from the back, but their buttocks are massive.
Lol, LMAO.
Lol. Lamau, even. Anyway,
Did we even get a shot of Spider-Man standing up, seeing the Goblin coming towards him?
It doesn't really matter. He's got the spider sense. We can presume that that's what happened.
Just cut to him running like a stunt show. Did they fast forward Mary Jane? What are they doing? Jesus, that looks awful. What?
We'll meet again, Spider-Man!
Did he just pull it?
I'll get you next time, Gadget.
Is that a dummy, or did he die in midair? Why was it hard to get a person in a spider suit to hold her?
Don't mind us, she just needs to use the elevator.
Ha. So as you can see, this entire action sequence is completely...
He dropped her off on the roof. That is literally all she needs to do.
nuts. But because of that, it's kind of amazing. I give it 3.5 little WTFs. Yay.
Huh?
Begins realizing he may have a split personality. At least that's what the voice in his head is telling him. This is scene chewing at its yummiest.
So many good
Yummy.
things all happen.
Scenery.
I'm beginning to think you hate glass more than Spider-Man. Is this like your #1 fear?
I want that beer mug now.
Wanted. There's only
I had a
one
Spider-Man
who
cup
can
back
stop
then.
us.
That moment you realize he was actually underperforming when he played Nosferatu. Norman goes to the Daily Bugle to find Spider-Man's photographer.
Jameson, you
Slime! Oh, chalk that up to another reason
swine.
for PG-13.
You're reusing jokes from your other review, Doug, except you're making them less funny.
Who's the
Swine.
photographer who takes the pictures of Spider-Man?
I don't know who he is. His stuff comes in the mail.
You're lying!
You're lying.
So Jameson's willing to put his life on the line for Parker?
Yeah! He's a good newsman.
That's like Bluto sticking his neck out for Popeye.
Ludo has
Yeah, I
stuck
can
his
see
neck
that
out for
happen.
Popeye. They're rivals. They're not fucking gonna kill each other.
It's possible, but you gotta explain it.
I mean, the only explanation we really need is that clip of the Joker saying in their final moments, people show you who they truly are.
Spider-Man appears, but Goblin has a way to knock him out. Oh, I do hope it's a silly way.
Oh God, I have narcolepsy.
I love it when it hits you that the main villain of your movie just made a Humphrey the Bear sound effect.
Who the fuck is Humphrey the Bear?
Goblin paralyzes
Oh, it's
Spider-Man
that guy.
and offers him a chance
I don't
to
know
join
who that guy
Goblin
is.
in being crazy.
You and I are not so different.
I'm not like you.
Eventually, they will hate you. Why bother?
Because it's right.
And other cliche lines from the 40s. Why doesn't he take his mask off?
Spider-Man was written in the 60s. Also, he explains why he doesn't take his mask off.
I mean, he tells him to think about his offer, but why doesn't he just take Spider-Man's mask off to see who he is?
Because he explains it. He doesn't. At this point, it doesn't really matter to him.
I could take your mask off right now.
I know, but don't.
But I
Actually, hang on. Let me pull up the script real quick.
By the way, did you see the Sonic Shadow Generations thing?
Yes, I have. It looks really good.
I'm like, getting it day one.
David Coop, Spider-Man script. On his website. Thank you, David Coop.
Who's the photographer?
Final shooting
Takes all the
script from
pictures of
2001.
Spider-Man.
Let me see here. This should be around this many pages in. Probably a little bit. He hasn't mentioned her. Scrolling down. With me, what do you want? World peace, but I'll settle for your chin. And yep, so. Goblin on his wrist. On the balcony, this is the fight scene here. Still a little rattled. Fine. Is the Ran the bedroom. Skyline. Fine. Scrolling. Are you do this? Or there we go. Oh, I'm going through here. Right, surrender media violence made me do it. That's a good one. Speak of the devil, little Spider-Man. There we go. Don't worry, I didn't remove your mask. I'll respect your privacy for the moment anyway, because I respect you. That's all we need. That is the exact line from the script. That is near enough the exact line from the movie.
I want to. I don't want you to.
But I could.
But you won't.
Why?
Chicken thigh.
What?
I guess you got me there.
After that,
That was a long way around for a whole lot of nothing.
Talk. I do hope it feels more like status updates than actual conversation.
How's it going with?
Why so interested?
I'm not.
You're not?
Well, why would
I mean,
I don't know. Why would you be?
they're the main characters of the movie and technically the entire series, so.
I'm not.
You're not?
You know.
Well, why would I be?
Why would you be?
You're so beautiful.
It's only because I'm so in love.
No, it's because I'm so in love with you.
Mary Jane has to be rescued again.
Grrr.
Oh.
See why I'm angry.
This time from kissy faces.
Did you forget the Woody Woodpecker? You should have mentioned Woody Woodpecker was on that side.
These guys are trying to rape her.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they're fucking rapists, man.
I think I have a superhero stalker.
Who talks like that?
People
They
who
do.
often get...
She doesn't know you're Spider-Man. There's no red flags that she's cheating on her boyfriend with a pajama criminal while also kind of playing the field with you. This is what
I mean, like, this is the least of the criticisms we can make. In fact, this film has the least of the criticisms we can make of her.
all you got was a hug in Spider-Man 3. The next day, we
Ah.
continue our pattern of parents who are awful as a mother leaves her baby in a burning building. Yep, Spider-Man's gonna die in a burning building with a baby.
That's not the point. Oh my god, how do you miss the point so hard? Oh.
This movie suddenly got super dark on a whim. Well, that was suspenseful. They hear another woman screaming inside, only to discover it's the Goblin.
Okay, what criticisms are you gonna make of this?
What about my generous proposal? Are you in or are you out?
Could you maybe bring up the fact that maybe it's not that great an idea for him to engineer this as a negotiation platform when he knows that it's not going to get on Peter's good side? He doesn't know who's Peter at this point, but still.
It's you who's out, Gobby. Out of your mind.
That line's like a pendulum. The more it repeats, the more you die a little. They fight in the fire with Spider-Man.
I'm going to need you to explain that metaphor to me, Doug, because I don't get it.
And getting his arm injured, but both of them flee, just in time for turkey. Yeah, I'm tired of nobody putting this on their favorite Thanksgiving specials.
Norman,
Okay.
will you do the honors?
Actually, hang on. No, it repeatedly comes up as one of the few Thanksgiving films because there's like literally none, I don't think.
Spider-Man, where even sampling sweet potatoes is somehow made weird.
It's Norman Osborn. He's drifting in and out as the Green Goblin at this point. He's the main villain of the movie. I don't know what else to say
Norman
to you,
notices
Doug.
Peter's wound and immediately figures out he's Spider.
No. So the sequence of events is, I believe it's Mary Jane points it out, and then Aunt May he grabs his arm and finds it, and then he notices.
Yeah.
Shocking.
They put it
He
together.
kept it a secret so well.
Something.
I mean, there wasn't really any way he would have known any of that at that point. Also, it was dark out when he was beating up the rapists, and nobody saw his face. And I don't think anybody really saw, because everybody was looking up at the Goblin at the parade.
It has come to my attention.
And just when you think this movie can't be any more...
What do I do?
Instruct him in the matters of loss.
It's not funny, Doug.
No, it's not.
But how? The cunning warrior attacks neither body nor mind.
I just recently saw David Lynch interrogate a monkey. This is weirder.
No, it's not. David Lynch is a fucking stooge.
Can you imagine somebody walking in on this supposed intimidating scene and not laughing their ass off?
Hey, Rob, I wanted to get your input on...
What must I do?
Nope, I have to look again.
If we could have kept this going a little bit faster, would have been a hell of a lot funnier, but you slowed it down. The gag takes about twice as long as it needs to.
This leads to, believe it or not, an even crazier ass scene when he crashes in on a praying Aunt May.
Finish it!
I know you're going to... I know you're going to criticize this because you already brought it up.
Oh my god! You can't see anything like this in another comic book movie. It is so precisely odd.
What's with all these
I
fish
want to see him.
Yeah, we've...
We went over this in our previous video. We
Do
don't.
this for other things that people should wrap up.
Please let me... Please let me have more like this.
Finish it!
For me!
Finish it!
For me!
Hey,
She's sent to the hospital where, oh yes! Peter and Mary Jane remain perfectly still in one spot talking again. You know, there's other romantic things you can do. Go to the fair, walk on the beach, not say things in such a creepy-ass manner.
What?
You feel
Okay.
excited. And at the same time, terrified.
Okay, Doug, anything can sound creepy if you put the right music or the wrong music behind it.
Call the police.
What?
Harry sees Mary Jane flirting with Peter, though, and goes to tell his daddy.
I haven't always been there for you, have I? I've lost sight of that somewhere, but I gotta make it up to you, Harry. I'm going to rectify certain inequities.
Good to have you back, Dad. This wasn't cryptic at all.
It probably sounds positive to him, because he doesn't know the things we know.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like his dad is looking at trying to make things right with him, and trying to be a little bit more caring, trying to be less absent. Because here's the thing, Norman Osborn is a fucking scientist. He's an inventor. He's been doing shit that keeps him away from his family. So he probably thinks he's trying to reconnect with him. He thinks he's being genuine. That's part of what makes finding his father's dead body at the end of the film such a fucking shot in the heart.
Wake up, little spider. Wake up.
Eek. Peter wakes up from his terrifying dream as it seems Aunt May is doing better.
You do too much. You're not Superman, you know.
Well, I'd have to get a lot better at breaking necks.
Please tell me there's a Gwen Stacy joke right after this.
You know, you were...
No! Doug! You fucked it up! You fucked it up! It was such an easy joke to make, and you fucked it up!
Keep in mind, Alex, he still doesn't like Man of Steel.
You could have made it, you could have... I know he doesn't like Man of Steel, but you could have made that into a fucking joke. Use the TASM 2 footage. Tell me he calls back to this in the TASM 2 video, please.
I don't know if
About 6
he
years
does.
old when MJ's family moved in. You grabbed me and said, Aunt May? Aunt May? Is that an angel?
I really don't like how many parallels this has to the prequels.
I mean, both of them have the excuse of them being tiny children at the time.
May says everyone knows he's in love with Mary Jane, which gets him thinking he should give her a call.
Hi,
Hey, MJ.
I need to know if you're an angel.
Hello?
No! Go fuck yourself.
MJ, you're finally laughing at my jokes. It looks like the goblin has kidnapped Mary Jane as well as a car full of kids. You can tell they were saving the really good effects for the climax here. Same year as Gollum!
This is why only fools are heroes.
Spider-Man shows up as Goblin forces him to choose between Mary Jane or the children. Now, anyone who knows the comics knows this is a send-up to when the Green Goblin...
No, it's a... Send-up is something different, Doug. This is an homage.
...Gwen Stacy on the Brooklyn Bridge. One of the most shocking deaths in comic...
It was the George Washington Bridge. It's a famous aspect of the fucking comics. They mention it in the comic. You can find it on the Wikipedia page.
...book history. But here,
Why do you
just
sound
gonna do the
drunk?
Batman Forever thing. Because, you know, if you're gonna steal from Batman...
Why do I sound what now?
Why do you sound drunk?
I don't know.
...might as well be the best one. It's not that they don't kill Mary Jane. I honestly don't think
He's not stealing from Batman here.
that would have worked here. It's that there's...
Mary Jane was dangled over a fucking chasm from before this film. That happened more often after this film.
There's no point in doing it like this if you're not gonna deliver the goods. It'd be like telling the story of Jesus. He heals people, gets to the trial, and then he's found innocent and goes home. There's
The good ending.
kind of some big epic stuff you're leaving out.
No, the idea was that he was able to... We're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna make it so that he succeeds, and it's incredibly difficult.
Yeah, did I mention this was made right after 9/11?
It was made right before 9/11, you fucking dickhead! You mention it in this review!
You gotta pick on a guy trying to save a bunch of kids. You mess with Spidey, you mess with New York. You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us.
God bless you, your heart's in the right place.
I'm scrolling down my
Spider-Man saves
script
Mary
here.
Jane and the kids, but the Goblin grabs him and takes him to, honestly, the second best fight in the movie. Again, I think that's because there's not a lot of half-ass CGI.
Oh, hang on. Revision buff 19-2001. And this part of the script was written in January, Doug. You could have done some fucking research. Script page 121, by the way, if you want to go look at it.
And it feels more gritty and grounded. It's even one of the
Yeah,
few
it's
times
kinda
the
Evil
Goblin's
Dead-y.
mask looks pretty cool. As you can see, Defoe's much scarier teeth inside the fake teeth.
Yeah, by the way, why didn't you bring up the fact that he's using prosthetic teeth as Norman and his real teeth as the Goblin?
Giving it a nice creepy vibe. As you'd imagine, Spider-Man finds his strength and ends up beating the Goblin, just as he reveals his identity.
Give me your hand. I bet.
I mean, it's not so much him revealing his identity as... We've already discussed this in the Spider-Man video.
Like a father to you.
Yeah.
You know, a father that tries to kill everything you know and love. A Hollywood father.
That's actually pretty good.
His name was Ben Parker.
Yeah, and I'm Ray Skywalker. We really are who we choose to be, aren't we?
This was a terrible old joke. This
We
was a
are
gross
who we
misunderstanding.
choose to be, Spider-Man. Now choose!
We are literally... This is not
At
even
the very
remotely
beginning,
close to the same...
Right
same
before
joke.
Uncle Ben's death. This is why I don't like this review, by the way. Right before Uncle
Yeah.
Ben's death, before the wrestling scene, during the scene where Peter bites Uncle Ben's head off, as you mentioned, he says, excuse me, I know I'm not your father to Peter. And Peter says, then stop pretending to be. And this is where Peter acknowledges that he was pretty much the only father he ever knew. The only father, the father figure that meant everything to him.
Totally not Mark's review of this movie is infinitely better.
Yeah. Dare I say it, our fucking commentary is infinitely better.
He accidentally nails himself and his goblins as he makes one last request to Peter.
Yep.
Don't tell Harry.
Right in the dick.
Well, I guess you did try to kill my girlfriend and Aunt May and me. You know, fuck you, I'm telling Harry. No, I guess he
Not
keeps his
bad.
dumb scouts honor and returns Norman home where Harry finds him.
I'm so sorry, Harry.
I swear on my father's grave, Spider-Man will pay.
I'm gonna smack him right
Are
in the
you
dick.
gonna criticize this?
No!
You know, the word on the street is the X-Men did this. That dazzles.
That's actually really
Plays
good.
a real psycho.
And Wolverine beats
Here
me while
we
being
are,
like,
the
go
funeral
fuck
of our
yourself.
best friend's father.
Oh,
Want to go out?
That's not what's happening here, dog. That's not what's happening here at all.
There's something I've been wanting to tell you. When I was up there was only one person who I was thinking of.
The person I've stood still and talked 5 times having the most boring of conversations with. It's love. Dull, monotonous.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me no more.
Love.
I love you so much, Peter.
But Peter, in order to keep her safe, turns down her advances.
Yeah, like
Because
I said, that's not
totally
really
how
what's
it's always
happening
gonna
here. I
be,
can see
guys.
how he got the fucking
always be
impression
your
of that,
friend.
but yeah.
Only your friend?
Yeah.
That's all I have to give. Whatever life holds in store for me, I will never forget these words.
Bros before hoes.
With great power comes great responsibility.
He swings towards an amazingly convincing American flag that totally wasn't put in at the last minute.
Right, you know, you want to talk about the Lord of the Rings looking better than this? Take a gander at some of those composite shots, Doug. I have the trilogy in both 4K and Blu-ray. I've seen it on DVD as well. Some of the rear projection looks a little rough. This is fine for 2002.
And that's the end.
There are MCU films now with worse special effects than that. There are other big Hollywood films now with worse special effects than
The
this.
Spider-Man.
I'll be right back, by the way.
So, Critic, with all the jokes and mockery you made of this movie, has anything changed for you since you last saw it?
Yeah, but it hasn't just changed for me, it's changed for you too.
Oh, yeah? What's that?
Comic book movies. You see, back then there weren't that many, and I was waiting for the equivalent of The Dark Knight to come out, something that took comic book films super seriously. Instead, I got this, something silly, over the top, and mostly innocent. So I always kind of resented it, thinking we could get a much more serious Spider-Man movie. But now that we have films like The Dark Knight and even more serious Spider-Man movies, I can finally enjoy how one-of-a-kind this series is.
But it's so ridiculous!
Yeah, everything in it is so campy and goofball.
But that's part of the fun. Its cons are also its pros. If you don't take it that seriously and just embrace the hilariously sugar-coated world, it is kind of fun. It's paced well, it's a decently laid out origin story, and its angles and imagery are very old school comic book. I know it takes liberties, but if you compare it to the liberties other comic book movies took at the time,
And
this
I'm
one
back,
actually
and yes,
stayed
Doug is
closer than
100%
others.
correct
And
about
yes,
that part.
this was the movie that arguably made the biggest impact in getting comic book films going again. And for that to be an innocent, gentle cornball flick instead of an extreme, dark, hardcore bloodfest, it's actually rather impressive. It's funny, a lot of younger people that grew up with this find themselves disliking it as they get older, but since I watched it with a more cynical mind and the cinematic environment around me has changed, I actually find myself enjoying it. If I focus on the passion and creativity rather than the details. I think this movie's gonna have a different reaction with different ages at different
Doug
times.
just did turn
And you
off
know
your
what?
brain
If it
for
broadens your point
Spider-Man.
of view, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Well, there it is.
Yes, there it is.
So, do we like this movie or not?
Well, I guess the little kid in me is always going to like it, and the adult in me is always going to find problems with it, darling.
And the good news is, there's nothing wrong with that. Whatever you feel towards a movie is okay to feel.
Well, I guess we were trying to grow up a bit too fast.
Come on, Benny, let's put on our Spider-Man pajamas and watch the Raimi films again.
With alcohol.
Oh yeah, of course with alcohol. We have to enjoy some perks of adulthood. There's nothing even in these goddamn things.
I'm not nostalgia critic,
glad
whether
you
sober
pointed that
or
out.
plastered. Spider Month is just beginning.
And cutting to the next one.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, does anything actually rhyme with man? Hear the search? No, there's not. Make one up. Schmuck, look out. Here comes the Spider-Schmuck.
Hello,
Oh.
I'm the Nostalgia.
Now for my
Remember
favorite
it, so you
Spider-Man
don't
movie.
have to. Let's continue Spider Month with what everybody says is the greatest of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies.
I've been reading poetry lately.
Whatever that means.
Spider-Man 2.
Yes.
People went nuts when this film came out, saying it was a game changer, one of the best sequels ever made, as well as one of the best comic book movies ever made.
It's kind of itchy. It rides up in the crotch a little bit, too.
Yes.
They are right, from a certain point of view. Changing up writers from 1 to 4, even getting one of the great screenwriters, Alvin Sargent. I remember at first being a little let down because I expected the dialogue to be more like ordinary people, but still got a lot of the campiness from the first movie. Looking back though, I realized if it was written more realistic, it wouldn't have fit. It's like going from Batman Returns to Batman Forever. The style change would have been way too distracting and out of nowhere. So I've grown to appreciate how the movie tries to bring in more elements of realism while still being in the same charmingly hokey universe as the first. This movie still has a lot of great what the fuck moments though, and we're going to go over which ones work, which ones don't, and which ones both. Let's continue Spider-Month with Spider-Man 2. After the best opening credit sequence to a comic book movie ever, how dare you cut back to me thinking I was gonna make a joke about that? We find Spider-Man on his first perilous mission of the film, delivering pizza.
In 8 minutes, I am defaulting on Joe's 29-minute guarantee.
If the Fire Nation does not get this in under 8 minutes, they're canceling the Last Airbender sequel. Don't smile at that!
Thank fucking God.
This immediately sets the tone for the entire film. In the first one, I felt like they were still trying to find their footing for what the style was, but here, it dives right into the zaniness with no apologies. I feel like someone can figure out right away if this is for them or not. Oh man, I can't wait to see the next Blade! Out. This is gonna be fun.
Dogs, have you seen Bully Maguire take on the likes of the Winter Soldier?
I believe I've seen that video, yes.
Yes, Mr. Spider-Man.
This, of course, makes Peter late for his delivery, causing him to lose his job.
Give me another chance.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Again, tone set. That is both kinda sad, but really funny at the same time. This bizarre world feels so much more embraced than before. The only thing to cement it is...
Get your pretty little portfolio off my desk before I go into a diabetic coma.
You are proof cloning will continue, because when you die, we're still gonna have you on the roll.
I don't think this covers the advance I gave you a couple weeks ago. Hey, chin up, okay?
If I can survive being Rita Repulsa, you can survive this.
Rita Repulsa wasn't as big of a blow to her career as the fucking...
endlessly tortured. It's like this movie is a total sadist, and I'm very okay with that.
Dr. Connors.
Your grades have been steadily declining. You're late for class.
You're forgetting to utilize me until the reboot? Not cool. Peter goes to Aunt May,
That's
who
actually
planned
a good one.
surprise birthday party inviting all his friends. Both of them.
We're about to make a breakthrough on fusion.
Your father would be so proud, rest his soul.
What was his cause of death again? Well, my butler who tended his wounds said giant knife to the balls. From Spider-Man? Well, unless he's leaving out some crucial information, I'm making that assumption, yes. One of my favorite
That's a
lines
good
that
one.
I'm not sure was intentional. Aunt May wakes up dreaming Uncle Ben is still alive. She clarifies everybody is gone, I'm sure referring to the party, but with Rosemary Harris being such a good actress, you get the feeling she could be talking
classically
about all
trained,
the people
you
in
know.
her life.
Oh, for a second there, I thought I was years ago.
Rosemary
gone.
Harris is still
Did they
acting
have a
to
good
this day.
Oh, nice.
I'm sure they did.
I don't know how.
You're being emotional.
It's just that I miss your Uncle Ben so much. Were I to face the one responsible for what happened,
I'd probably give him the silent treatment and then start a garage sale. I am loopy. I also like Peter and Mary Jane recreating the
what?
talk in the backyard. And again, the dialogue seems a bit more genuine this time instead of just quoting cheesy one-liners at each other. For the most part, she tries hitting on him, he turns her
Hang on, why is the visual quality degraded since the last one? You were using an HD copy
down,
before.
and then she says she's seeing someone else, leading to this weird line.
I'm seeing somebody now.
Oh, therapy.
How would you take that?
A person, a man.
So it's like therapy, but with sex and dinner. And I obsess over you in both.
Well, I mean, it could be funnier.
Parker sneaks into his apartment trying to hide from his landlord and daughter so he can delay paying the rent.
Hi. What's hi? Can I spend it?
Hi, Pete.
I'm just gonna say it. These two are my favorite characters in all the movies.
Promising.
Hey! I appreciate that.
That is fair.
Crackers might
That
not
is
know what
entirely
you've had.
fair.
Is better than Cosmonaut Marcus's reaction to certain best supporting characters. I can't wait to get to his fucking Ant-Man 2 review where he complains about those. I wonder if he praised their exclusion from Ant-Man 3.
I want a sitcom where they own a building, all the tenants are superheroes, and they never realize it. If that can become a show, why not this? Get on it!
Yeah, actually,
agree.
yeah.
Octavius, played by Alfred Molina,
I-
who's working on a ground.
I want Mr. Ditkovich to be the landlord for Peter Parker and Matt Murdock, and to be right on top of the sewer where the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles live. And every now and again, he has a convenience store in the ground floor, and every now and again, and these guys in trench coats with really high collars come in and buy pizza from him.
Breaking project under Harry at Oscar.
Meanwhile, our heroes are just sitting on the rooftop eating pizza, and then Peter's like, "So Murdoch, how's lawyering going?" Oh, usual.
Have
Part
you
of the
defended
benefit.
any interesting people lately?
He's heard of Peter's infamous
I
laziness.
try not to
Being
defend
brilliant's not
and
enough,
weirdo.
young man. Intelligence is
Oh.
not a privilege, it's a gift, and you use it for the good of mankind.
Like a co-worker of mine once said, with great power comes great... Oh, come on!
I mean, it's not like it's a running theme throughout Spider-Man or anything.
Wait a
They do
minute.
get along, though, as Peter is fascinated by the possibility of Octavius creating the power of the sun. But he has a fear he might have miscalculated.
Are you sure you could stabilize the fusion reaction?
Rosie, our new friend thinks I'm gonna blow up the city.
I'm just saying I know scientists who turned into goblin people. Carry the one. I mean what I said when I mentioned this movie got more realistic dialogue. It just happens to be for a Frank Capra flick.
But if you want to get a woman to fall in love with you, feed her poetry.
Poetry.
Never fails.
If that doesn't work, try some marshmallow rice squares.
Those are swell.
Peter decides to see Mary Jane's play, but once again he gets sidetracked by Spider-Man problems.
Power and responsibility.
Yeah, if there's anything I know, New York on a weekend evening is always traffic-free for a car chase.
I mean, that's not really
Point out that
what's
the
going
effects
on.
in this film are a lot better. Even when they look a little fake, they're
I mean, they're roughly around the same because it only came out 2 years later.
still clever and ambitious, which is more than I can say for some of the extras.
You're gonna complain again, aren't you?
It's a web.
Yeah.
Cut! Do we have time to do a take two? No. Great job. Totally convincing. Glad.
Ooh.
Hi,
See that
Mr.
fight
Campbell.
Wrestling announcer got another job.
No one will be seated after the doors are closed.
It helps maintain the illusion.
I wonder if that's a clue to him one day playing Mysterio. Jesus, struck a nerve.
It was supposed to be, but we didn't get that movie. Thanks, Sony.
Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Spins away.
Racist? I don't know.
No.
I watched Fresh Off the Boat. I think that balances me out.
Why? If you're gonna make a joke like that, you could have made a better joke.
His spidey powers are fading away, though, forcing him to use the elevator. Hal Sparks comes in to clarify this was definitely an early 2000s movie.
Cool Spidey outfit.
Thanks.
This is a great scene. I will hear nothing bad about it.
I actually never thought this scene was written that funny, but let's be honest, this image alone is all you need. They can say anything, and you're guaranteed to laugh. The only thing that make this image funnier is if you switched them out with, "You already have dual roles. I promise nobody would question this."
That would have been
Next day,
good.
Peter tries calling Mary Jane to explain why he wasn't at the play, but he runs out of money to put in the phone.
I want to tell you the truth. Here it is.
I'm Player X.
I'm Spider-Man.
That too.
What?
Though I actually get less hate for that. I think. The next day, Peter attends Dr. Evil's experiment, as well as apparently open mic night.
That's actually a good
lost
joke.
A large roll of $20 bills in a rubber band because we found the rubber band. It's a terrible joke.
I like that joke.
Am I giving it to the Stockholm,
Yeah.
or is this awkward first date writing actually starting to grow on me?
I mean, that's what people
No.
do to break the ice in big presentations. They tell a lame joke, and everybody is like, "Ah, hey."
Octavius gets on to his groundbreaking experiment, just using these everyday mechanical arms that hook into his cerebellum using artificial intelligence to control their movements. Fuck the sun thing! There's like 1 million gold mines in those alone!
If the artificial intelligence in the arms is as advanced as you suggest, couldn't that make you vulnerable to them?
One may ask, why even put artificial intelligence in a tool like that? It's like giving construction equipment a soul, as we saw in Supergirl. That is so dangerous!
I mean, we already talked about this in the last video,
And-
but you know.
And
well,
the
it's
thing
kind
is
of
that
got to do with
we
the
also
fact-
have the other extreme where our Dr. Octavius could be putting in way too much mental strain on his well-being, and that could cause some serious problems.
Yes.
Fasten your seatbelts.
He gives the order to Jin to start the experiment, but it wouldn't be a Spider-Man
I'm
movie without
surprised
science
he
going
made
wrong.
that reference.
Or an extra giving a weird line read.
This is a breakthrough beyond your father's dreams.
I just learned that line 2 seconds ago. I'm proud of however I said it.
Doug, I've been in plays with people who have learned their lines 2 seconds ago, and in movies, come to think of it, with people who learn their lines 2 seconds ago. That's not how that delivery works.
The energy starts sucking all the metal into it, though, causing it to go awry.
Shut it off!
This doesn't change anything.
Okay.
Whatever you
into
say,
the sun you go.
douchebag.
Get one of those wonderful gruesome without really being gruesome deaths as his wife is stabbed in the eye with a piece of glass, killing her. How about that? A Spider-Man movie that actually earns its PG-13 rating. But Critic, what
You cut out all the shit from the last movie that earned it a PG-13.
About Mary Jane's wet shirt, the disintegrating skeletons, and the goblin killing people, which were shown in the trailer, approved for all audiences.
What do you think approved for all audiences means?
Clearly you had to be over 13 in order to accept the disturbing nature of all of those.
I mean, ratings don't really fucking mean anything anyways. You should probably know that, Doug.
But what about...
This was PG! Cut the umbilical cord!
Yeah, I was gonna say!
With a great scene when Octavius is knocked out, but his arms are still awake.
You should know
killing all the
that ratings
doctors
don't
trying
mean
to remove
anything.
Sorry, that was from the Evil Dead movies, but it's wonderfully hard to tell, isn't it? Apparently,
No,
Octavius
it was
that
easy to
well
tell.
sedated as he wakes up
I mean, it's directed by the same guy.
seconds after his arms killed everybody. Oh, is that operation going to take 2 minutes?
Oh, that's how I was supposed to do it.
You couldn't have found a real fucking helmet, Doug. I have a Darth Vader helmet, for fuck's sake.
The following day, the Daily Bugle tries to think up what to name their latest scientist gone wrong.
Science Squid?
Crap.
Doctor Strange.
That's pretty good.
Wow, that shout
Take
out worked.
Mad scientist goes berserk and we don't have pictures.
I heard Spider-Man was there.
I look forward to where that doesn't go.
I mean, I don't know if that's valid criticism or not.
As much as I bash the lame exposition in the first film, this might have the most poorly written introduction to an absolutely pointless character in any of these movies.
I need you. Come here. You're all I got. Big party for an American hero. My son, the astronaut.
That line's so bad, even Simmons couldn't save it.
He's gloating about how much he prefers his son as a hero over Spider-Man. I hope that helps.
Maybe if it was they're celebrating my son. Oh, you have a son? Yes, he's in the space program. He's an astronaut. Or it's for my son John. He just returned from space. Really? From space? Yes.
None of this dialogue is better. It doesn't communicate the same things about Jameson's character as my hero's son, the astronaut.
He's an astronaut. But no, we get the most forced, unnatural introductory line of...
My son, the astronaut.
Have you met my coworker, the editor? He's right next to my acquaintance, the secretary. Say hello to my black guy, the black guy. Oh, what do you care? You'll forget about when you see us followed by this meme.
Could you pay me in advance?
He's one of the editors.
Meanwhile, Octavius hides out near the water as the AI in his arms seem to be controlling him. At first, the thought of the AI arms going evil seemed a little dumb, but it does kind of make sense. They're programmed to finish the experiment, and that's exactly what they'll do, by any means necessary. So whether it's getting equipment to keep it going, robbing a bank to buy that equipment, or gloating about killing innocent people, wait, what?
Now you'll have this woman's death on your conscience.
Or I'll peel the flesh off her bones.
Okay, somewhere a few extra steps were taken, but Christ, those arms look...
He is trying to get him to leave him alone.
In this pretty awesome fight scene, Spider-Man tries to stop Doc Ock from Scrooge McDucking people to death as he takes Aunt May.
That's actually pretty good.
Take it away, awkward extras. Sometimes I have no idea what this movie is doing. I just know I have no choice but to love it. Spider-Man defeats Doc Ock, though, saving Aunt May. There you go. Don't I get to kiss upside down? Jesus, Aunt
No.
May. Wait, Peter? I mean, fuck. Later that
Okay.
night, Peter covers Jameson's big event.
Fish out of my wife with the minister here.
Oh, have you met my son, the astronaut? This is all for my son, the astronaut. Keep an eye out for the astronaut. My son.
No.
The committee is pleased to present the handsome, the heroic, the delicious,
The hell?
the delicious Captain John Jameson.
That was so uncomfortable, I feel like John Travolta was holding that moment by its chin. It's revealed that he's going out with Mary Jane, which I guess makes Peter think this is the perfect time to make his move.
Day by day, he gazed upon her. Day by day, he sighed with passion.
Don't start.
Oh, golly gee, Beef, reading poetry to her didn't work. I guess I better move on to serenading her upon moonlight.
John has seen my show 5 times. Even my father. He came backstage to borrow cash.
I am more than happy to ask you for cash. My rent is years due. After Harry slaps Peter for not turning Spider-Man into him. You're tearing me apart, Peter! Son, the astronaut, says Mary Jane just agreed to marry him. And yes, I know he has a name, but honestly, that is all he is in this film. Son, the astronaut. He's the
John
only
Jameson,
plot
just
device
use
I
his
think
fucking
is legit
name, please.
bad in this movie because you could cut him out and you wouldn't miss a thing.
I mean, you'd
He's
miss
barely in the film.
several
There's no reason to
subplots,
make him
but
Jameson's son.
you know what?
He has no personality as there's no time to give him
I'd agree
one.
with that.
And there's
I'd agree with cutting him out, mostly just because then we'd lose the stupid fucking Mary Jane bullshit.
Yeah.
To spend some of that time, I don't know, developing their relationship.
no reason to have him marry MJ except that's what every 90s rom-com was doing. So it's perfect
It was 2004, it wasn't really a 90s thing.
for this 2004 flick. I guess the idea is to build up all the bad stuff happening to
Sorry, I meant to say not just a 90s thing.
Peter, but there's already enough. You can cut him out and still get the same amount of pressure and guilt. If anything, it makes Mary Jane look douchey. She's apparently at a
Yeah, a
point
little
where
bit.
she's ready to marry this guy, yet she's still putting the moves on Peter.
Yeah,
I
a
mean, what
little
was
bit.
this, a month ago?
I miss your Uncle Ben. Can you
Not even
believe
that
it?
much.
2 years next month since he was taken.
Yeah, and that scene hasn't happened yet. So it's safe to say she's ready to marry this guy, and yet she's still hitting on her ex-boyfriend. Not even
Yep.
ex-boyfriend, just ex-friend-friend.
I mean, I understand what it's supposed to kind of convey here, but it didn't really work out that well.
In the deleted scenes, they explain this a bit more, at least adding to her character a bit, but in the theatrical cut, this is entirely pointless.
Hence why Spider-Man 2.1 is the better film.
Such a mystery.
Yep.
The only bigger mystery is, why was this guy in this movie? Peter's powers continue to fail him, so he goes to see a cool doctor. You know, he has a tie-dye shirt, so he's cool. And he talks about a dream where he's Spider-Man and his powers.
I mean, it's not a tie-dye shirt, it's a Grateful Dead shirt.
But I'm losing my powers. I'm climbing a wall, but I keep falling.
Oh my god, you're Wonder Woman.
My diagnosis? It's up here.
He starts to put together he may not want to be Spider-Man anymore, as a dream vision zombie visit from Uncle Ben has him calling it.
Yeah, it's like a combination of, it's the extension of with great power comes great responsibility. Does Spider-Man still have no responsibility if he is no longer Spider-Man? And that's the question that this is asking. And ultimately, the answer Peter gives is, well, oh, I can't stay away from it.
It quits.
I can't live your dreams anymore.
Which is a great concept, but, you know.
Take my hand, son.
I'm gonna take you to Christmas past. Yeah, what was that supposed to do?
I'm Spider-Man. No more.
Please. You have one more movie until that. He tosses out the suit and leaves
that's
Spider-Man
sad
behind.
because it's
Proving
true.
with no power comes not giving a shit. I hope they die. So now that you're engaged, I turned down your advances and I treated you like shit. Want to go out?
Will you think about it?
Think about what?
Picking up where we left off. Punch me, I bleed.
He's giving you an open invitation to punch him. Don't miss this opportunity. Meanwhile, at the Daily Bugle, somebody has something interesting to drop off. It's a pineapple.
I finally got to him.
Jameson is, of course, thrilled that Spider-Man threw in the towel, but the guilt finally gets to Peter, who confesses to Aunt May he's the reason Uncle Ben is dead.
What do you mean?
I went someplace else.
I really like this scene because unlike the other times Peter cries, where it looks like they just put drops in his eyes before shouting action, here, he really works up to it. It feels real. I also like that for such a friendly-go-lucky world, the friendliest character in the movies doesn't let him off so easily. In fact, here's a recreation of every movie theater in the world when this scene played.
I've tried to tell you so many times.
Oh my god!
But you know I'm also Spider-Man! So there's a happy ending! For me. Octavius finishes his machine and visits Harry to get the missing tritium he needs to make it work. Harry tells him if
Oh yeah, you didn't bring up the tritium earlier. Why didn't you?
he gets Spider-Man, he'll give him all the tritium he wants.
How do I find him?
Peter Parker.
Parker?
He takes pictures of Spider-Man for the Bugle.
A couple for Vanity Fair. Bottom line,
That's actually pretty good.
they're close. Meanwhile, crime is up 75%. Okay, even everyone from the Spider-Verse couldn't make that big a difference.
I mean, that's fair.
As yet another kid is trapped in a fire. Does nobody listen to Bugs Bunny fire safety?
You know, kids, the kitchen ain't a playground.
I mean, that depends on what you're playing with.
Peter saves her, but finds out some more bad news.
Some poor soul got trapped on the 4th floor.
Do we have time to do another?
No.
You're fantastic.
That joke was bad the
Now
first time you
he's
did
dying
it.
for cake.
Got a message. It's your aunt.
Thanks.
This scene
I
honestly
miss
doesn't
early
add a ton and
2000s
can probably
fashions.
be cut out, but it goes against the 12th commandment. Thou shalt not cut out any scene that has these two in them. Which honestly made more sense than the 11th commandment.
Thou shalt not put effort into January movies. Yeah, you were getting
Peter
close to
visits Aunt May
funny.
again in the hopes that maybe she's forgiven him. Oh, hey, husband killer. What's up?
Pish posh, we needn't talk about it.
She, of course, forgives him, spewing a super long-winded speech about what it means to be a hero.
That keeps us honest, gives us strength, makes us noble.
Originally, I thought this deserved a little leeway because I thought this was her way of saying that she knows that he's Spider-Man.
I mean, it doesn't really matter if she knows that he's Spider-Man at this point. They're kind of...
Yeah.
It works no matter what. Also, Doug, please dye your beard. You have too many gray hairs. It's distracting.
But in the next film, she still seems to be in the dark. So
I don't necessarily know that you know that.
what should take a few lines to hit the mark goes on for what feels like an eternity, even with an actress this good saying it.
Kids like Henry need a hero. Courageous,
And
self-sacrificing
people
line up people. for him.
Hero could save her.
And years later,
Not
everybody
gonna
loves the hero.
stay
Just to get a
here
glimpse of the one who taught
and
I believe
wait.
there's a hero in all of us.
Honestly, this whole part of the movie starts to drag a bit.
Yeah, this is part of the reason why I don't like the Spider-Man No More portions.
Maybe it's because we know what the characters are gonna do. He's gonna go
Yeah, we know what needs to happen by the end of the movie, and so everything else just kind of feels like it's Not great.
Back to being Spider-Man. She's not gonna marry my son, the astronaut. Spider-Man's gonna fight Octavius. The pieces are set, the emotions are actually very well established. Yet this drags on for 30 minutes. You don't need the long speeches. You don't need him practicing again. You don't need...
No, you absolutely do
if he
need
loses
that
his
scene.
powers, you absolutely do need that scene. You do need the sequence of them talking to each other, too, no matter what.
Disturbing
Yes, and you also need Peter running across the roof.
You hit the mark fine. Now you're kind of overstaying your welcome.
I mean, if you're going to take all the effort to put him down as low as he's gotten throughout the film, you definitely need to put in the effort to bring him back up. Which is part of the problem that a lot of modern films don't have. They don't have this in them. They don't do these things. My spider back is hurting because I'm such an old man.
Next you'll say there's another Peter dumping MJ scene.
You're a couple years younger than I am, Alex.
The scene is at least short, as it's interrupted by Octavius finally
Yeah, I don't like this scene much.
getting the ball rolling again. Or the car, I should say.
That's not... Spider-Man is in Spider-Man mode. She's freaking out.
Yes, when Harry told you to convince Peter to tell you where Spider-Man is, he meant to throw a car at him and hope he has superhuman abilities to
Yeah, that's valid criticism, actually.
He didn't have those powers and didn't move out of the way. Peter, tell me where Spider-Man is. Or blink. Or stop bleeding. This was a bad idea. He kidnaps Mary Jane because
That's actually a
they
good
want to
joke.
mix things up. But Peter gets his powers back, makes an Arthur Fist, and gives the coolest shot in the movie.
Hey, the Arthur Fist is really funny.
Wow, my sunglasses has some 4K quality shit going on there.
I love these shots.
Oh, where's the incredible one-liners from the first film when you need them? Your time is up, Spider-Man!
Dr. Octopus isn't that kind of villain.
It's you whose time is up, Doc Ock! Up of your mind!
Doc Ock isn't that kind of
Takes them
villain.
to easily the best scene in the movie as they fight on a train that's out of control and Spider-Man has to save everybody.
I wonder where General
Few of these
Katana
effects are
is.
hint dated, and I do mean only a few.
Alex,
It's just a cool
can we
idea
not
that they take
reference that piece of
every
shit?
advantage of.
Please?
You want me to reference
Everything
Watch
you can
Dogs
do with this
instead?
action sequence they accomplish.
I don't want you
Even
to
if it does
reference
lead to
either
some pretty
thing.
hilarious faces.
Hilarious. He is being pulled apart at the seams, Doug. This isn't a derp face. I've been on the internet for a very long time. Derp does not look like this.
It's great when your hero's action face constantly looks like he's trying to hold in a fart.
Tell me you've never been to a gym, Doug.
In a truly touching moment, all the people on the train agree they won't reveal his secret identity. Even Big Pussy and Dan Castellaneta.
Hang on, that wasn't Dan Castellaneta, was it? That looks like that guy looks way too young to be Dan Castellaneta.
We won't tell nobody.
Well, great. Doesn't mean all the people who took pictures on their phones are gonna be that quiet.
Yeah, that was 2004. That shit didn't happen.
Doc Ock knocks out Spider-Man, though.
Yeah, no,
and
that guy is
exchanges him
way
for the
too
truth,
young to be Dan
allowing Harry
Castellaneta.
to discover the
Dan
truth.
Castellaneta looked old back in 2002.
Actually, no, I wouldn't tell Doc Ock who Spider-Man was, so he threw me in the
He
Spider-Man.
was
Yeah,
old
they
in
wasn't in that.
2002.
Plots from movie 3, and yet somehow there's still 19 left.
The last movie
Tells Harry
he was
MJ is
in
danger,
was
and he needs to
Fan
tell him
Four
where they
Stick.
Surprise. Thank God you're under this leaky pipe. For a second,
He was
I
in a
thought we
movie
weren't gonna
called
have you
Adventures in
drenched in a Spider-Man
Homeschooling
movie.
in 2004. He was not in that.
Quick, Peter,
He was
try
not in
poetry on
Spider-Man.
Peter literally knocks some sense into Doc Ock, and he realizes the error of his ways and tries to stop the machine from destroying the city. He sacrifices himself while Peter accidentally reveals who he is to MJ.
Spider-Man will always have enemies. I can't let you take that
Wow,
risk.
you glossed
It's
over
good to
a
know I'm
lot
only
of shit
cheating on
here,
one
man.
person now. He drops her off as the movie shows that Harry will still have a place for Peter, though.
Son, I'm here.
He hallucinates his father's ghost, leading him to the only thing that could possibly destroy Spider-Man. Sony's ideas for the sequel. It looks like at MJ's wedding, though, she leaves her kind fiancé. Again, little screen time, but he seemed nice enough. Humiliated at the altar to be in a relationship based entirely on lies.
Call Deborah. Tell her not to open the caviar.
My son, the astronaut, was left by my ex-daughter-in-law, the bitch.
After running by a very bizarre Punisher cameo. Original MCU? Mary Jane confesses her love.
Hang on, was that Thomas Jane?
The astronaut was left by my ex-daughter-in-law, the bitch.
After running by a very bizarre Punisher cameo.
I don't think that's Thomas Jane. Hang on. Thomas Jane, Spider-Man 2. No, that was Thomas Jane's stunt double, not Thomas Jane.
Original MCU?
Still, Punisher was in the movie.
I know.
Punisher related.
Risks, but I want to face them with you.
I mean, people kidnapped me over and over even when I wasn't with you, so might as well have the sex. Peter is finally given a happy ending as he swings.
So are they gonna have
from,
sex on the
the
beach?
Playmobil movie, and
Are they gonna have sex in the sky?
Mary Jane's face.
That's not really a look of dread, but
Great
you know.
things are on the horizon for you. It's an appropriate look. So that was Spider-Man 2. Is it corny and hokey like the first one? Sure, but I feel like people expect, even prefer that by this point. On top of that, even if the style isn't your thing, there's still a lot of amazing elements in it. The effects surprisingly hold up pretty well, and even when they don't, they're super energized. It really takes time to show the little things that might impact a superhero's life that superhero movies really didn't do back then.
That's
and
fair.
despite a few hiccups, it really feels like it has a unique voice, both comedically and dramatically. I like that it can balance quiet, heartfelt moments with really zany, over-the-top antics in a way that's odd, but also engaging. The world and characters feel more fleshed out, but in a way that advances the style rather than takes away from it. Sure, a few things don't hold up, but I find more elements that get better with time than I do elements that date it. So swing on in and take a look at the best of Raimi's Spider-Man films.
What dates it?
Right
It's a
before
more
we
a matter
swing
of
in and
like
look at his
writing quality
not
for me.
those things I just said.
Excuse me?
I'm the Nostalgia Critic, and get your dancing shoes ready.
Okay, then.
Alright. Actually, hang on. I need to see how long his Spider-Man 3 review is.
Yeah, because I was about to say it's starting to get a little late.
Nostalgia Critic, Spider-Man 3. YouTube, it's 34 minutes. If we don't pause a whole lot and we just talk over it, we should be able to get through it. But we're probably not going to get to the last two until next week.
Yeah.
Spider-Man, Spider-Man, still found nothing that rhymes with mud.
Unless, of course, you want to stop now and reconvene next week for all three of them.
Yeah, we might as well reconvene for all three of them.
Alright, well, I guess we'll see y'all later then. Bye, everybody.
See you tomorrow for Mission Impossible 2.
Bum, 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 bum. Oh, wait, hang on. I can't sing that too much, or Lars Ulrich will give us a copyright strike. Bye, everyone.
Bye.